Hey everyone, and welcome to Grenades and Horseshoes, where we strive to bring good times, good feels, and general shenanigans every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Hello. How is everyone?
Hey.
Doing
Grenades
great.
and Horseshoes. Episode 31 is happening right meow. We just got back from PAX. I'm Mark Square. This is Gray Ghost.
Grey Ghost uses shampoo as conditioner.
And this is Yuna.
Hi, everyone.
I think actually Gray Ghost uses conditioner as shampoo.
Yeah, shampoo.
I screwed up the mean tweet. It is conditioner shampoo.
There's no reason we should properly quote bullies.
No,
So,
not at
you
all.
know,
Yeah.
it is what it is. So, yeah, like I said, fresh back from PAX. I had a lot of shenanigans. I was really sick most of the time, so I just complained and created snot. That was the two things that I did all the times.
That can be
And-
confirmed. I
You're
think.
the mucus maker.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen so much snot in my life. Like I didn't know it was possible to produce that. It was miraculous snot. It was a spiritual spiritual feeling.
Spiritual snot.
It was
had
too
to be.
bad because while Mark Square was suffering in the hotel room, Yuna and I were out on the PAX floor having
did.
just an epic time. But we
Yep.
felt bad for you as you were napping
They-
for most of the trip.
Yeah. So I do have one question for you guys though, and it's in relation to how you eat a breadstick. Like, how would
Yeah.
you guys go about doing that?
I'm a long ways guy, so I turn it
Put it
hot
in
dog style,
with-
bite it right in the middle, because then you
Uh,
get two breadsticks.
Yeah, bread on the cob style. Okay. All right. What about?
What if it's like not one of those little teeny breadsticks? If it's like a bigger breadstick, like if it's like a bready breadstick, not a cracker breadstick. What about like
Okay.
if you like eat it like a thing of corn?
Yeah, that's what I think is what great.
No, you just stick it in and you just chew on it.
How would you eat a breadstick, Mark? Particularly if you were at a meatball themed restaurant.
Yeah, we went to a spherical meat-shaped restaurant. It was all about balls, and we made all the ball jokes. I'm sure
Yeah,
the people
It was
working
our
there.
first meal.
Yeah,
The meal
yeah,
of balls.
yeah, and we took some selfies, and Yuna captured a particular can of me that has since been all over Twitter, eating a really skinny breadstick. What I was thinking when I did it was I'm gonna play this breadstick like a flute. It did not come out that way.
No. Yeah,
It
like a
was
flesh
more-
flute.
Yeah. It's more like a flesh flute situation. So if you're watching live,
You're just nibbling the tip.
yeah, you
Yeah.
just, oh my gosh, I can't even keep it. All right, so we've decided on all the ways to eat a breadstick. The one I did is the most embarrassing, confirmed.
Confirmed.
So, what about week in gaming? I'm excited about this because I've been playing some variety of games. When we were at PAX, I taught Gray a little bit about how to play Magic the Gathering. We played some Two-Headed Giant.
Yeah, I think
And,
my initiation into nerddom is slowly, moving further and further into that spectrum, because you
Yeah.
wrote me into D&D, so I had my first few D&D experiences and enjoyed probably about 12 hours of that, and then Magic the Gathering. Yeah, so got my first deck and played my first few rounds. I've yet to win a single game. And
Two for
still
O.
kind of, I'm still learning some of the more advanced, I think, techniques of like when
Yeah.
to activate a particular ability in the midst of a current, battle phase or something like that. That's
Yeah.
where I tend to get beaten right now.
There's a lot of play to that game, and the thing I like about it is that, and I play standard, not modern, and so there's like I think about 1,700 card pool that you need to learn, and among that pool, there's probably about 200 to 300 really commonly played cards that you need to know what they do, and be ready for it. So it's a very intense game of anticipating what your opponent's going to do and having a strategy that works across the broad spectrum. I really enjoy it. It's one of those games that you could, you could be on a road trip, and if you had the knowledge in your head, you could design strategies and things while on the go. So it's a great game. I've been playing that. I've been playing some Hearthstone, which is, as we know, Blizzard's kind of iOS version. You can play it on the computer as well, but it's kind of like a card game, a little bit simpler, designed to play digitally. Works really well. you know, on a iOS platform. Hey, by the way, welcome Lawn Boy and Average Joe and all the rest to the different platforms we are streaming to. And so yeah, I played some Hearthstone, getting back into that. But I have a little bit of hype for a game coming out, and I'm not super in tune with PC gaming, but I saw an article about a game called Artifact, and Valve is making it. That's great today. You
So
would
Valve
not
is making
believe.
it.
Yeah, I said you wouldn't believe what Valve is coming out with. He's like, you're right, I wouldn't.
I'm not believing it.
I'm not believing anything.
Not Half-Life.
But they've had
2033, the new game. What is it called? Artifact?
It's called Artifact.
Artifact.
And what it is, it's like a like a Magic the Gathering or a Hearthstone, if you will. Richard Garfield is actually designing it with them,
And
he's the man that invented Magic the Gathering back in 1992.
Oh wow!
And so he's got a good handle on and he also invented Android Netrunner. I mean, he's made tons of games all the way through.
Is he still involved with it? Is he still part of Wizards of the Coast? And
he actually the newest set of Magic the Gathering called Dominaria that's coming out this month. He helped design that set. Yeah, so he comes back on and helps them. He did sell the company to Wizards of the Coast though. But yeah, so he's still involved. So Artifact is it's like playing 3 games of Hearthstone at one time. There's 3 different lanes, and your strategy is a lot about bluffing your opponent and knowing, kind of anticipating where they're going to put their resources and putting your resources to block and attack. And so it's very much about placement of your cards and bluffing and anticipation of what your opponent's going to do. Looks really, really great. It's very pleasing to watch. Like if you watch a demo of it, there's like a little dragon running around on your desktop, and you'll do one lane and then you don't see all 3 lanes at once. The dragon runs over to the right and it pans to the right, and then you see your next, and back and forth. And then in between turns, you can spend your gold that you earn in the game on different things from your deck to add to your arsenal. So it seems like it has all the right mixes of strategy and quick play and that kind of a thing, enough depth to keep people interested. I'm excited about it, and hopefully it won't be like Half-Life 3.
Right, where it takes forever. Did they launch any beta dates, or do we know when it's going to be released?
They're just saying 2018 for now. So it was at PAX, and I found out about it from a Game Informer. I got in the mail today after I got back from PAX. But
yeah, I mean, that sounds interesting. It definitely sounds almost like the gameplay from something like Disgaea or Final Fantasy Tactics mixed with cards.
Yeah, because the lanes kind of dictate where you're gonna attack and things. So there is maneuvering as well. So
interesting. Yeah, I'd rather have Portal 3. So
anyways. Portal 3 delayed due to Artifact. Confirmed.
What
about your
at me, please?
Great.
Speaking of which, if you at me hate mail on Twitter, I'll read it live on the show as part of my introduction. So fun facts.
If you make personal attacks on personal insults towards Gray, he will pass those on. Do it in good spirit though. Don't say stuff that's actually true, please. We all know his bathroom situation.
What, Mark? What exactly are you thinking at this moment?
Let me consult my diary. No, but what about what about your week in gaming?
So I had a fantastic week in gaming, and I know we're gonna save all of our PAX talk for later. So that was all of my video game stuff was at PAX. Although my daughter did finish Mario World, and she was so excited. She made me call her father, who was at work, to talk to him and tell him, and she was so excited.
Is this Cappy? That Mario?
Yeah, that Mario. Yeah, she finally. I mean, of course, they have all the stuff afterwards, but she beat Bowser, and she was just so. It was the first game she ever played on her own and beat to completion, so she was so super psyched about it.
Nice.
And then she lost her privileges today for not feeding the dog. So
it was the best of.
But as far as other gaming goes, we did do D&D this week, but you guys aren't doing D&D anymore. So we introduced a couple new people. So I didn't tell you what happened to your characters, I don't think.
Oh,
so
man.
What we did was we kept you guys alive. We didn't kill you off, which was very, very generous of us, I think. So if you ever want to come back, you guys can. Yeah. So Mark is chasing after Abby's character, who made off with his horse, with his pony Manfred.
Yeah,
So you're on an
horse thief.
epic quest to come back, get Manfred back. And Gray is drinking and boozing in the tavern and decided he'd rather stay with the tavern wenches than come on the rest of our trip with us.
Both of
I
those
saved
sound
the
pretty
world
accurate.
once. I don't need to save it again.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
time to
Yeah.
coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're alive. You're just
That's
drunk
fitting.
and living it up.
We can read that as a mean tweet, sure.
It counts.
What else did we do this week? Oh, I missed Mayhem on Destiny just because it was so busy. I went back to work yesterday, finally. So I missed my last couple of hours I could have done, but that's okay. It was a trade-off. I got to spend time with you guys instead, and that's way more fun.
Yes.
Although Mayhem's pretty fun.
Yeah, my weekend gaming was a little bit similar. It was very busy with PAX. I didn't get to enjoy any of Destiny 2's Mayhem, but I am really excited for 6-Person Rumble, which just launched yesterday. Gonna jump in there and see what that's like. Hopefully far fewer spawn kills and more just tactics, less mayhem in Rumble is what it kind of felt like. I think there's going to be a little bit of balancing on the heavy ammo that they're going to have to work on because it's just going to be coming up so quick with only six Guardians. I think swords are just going to dominate with the heavy ammo, but we'll see once we get in there. Outside of that, Mark, I think it's been 2 weeks since we were on the show, so we finished A Way Out. Did we discuss? I can't remember if we discussed the ending of it. If not, no spoilers. We're not going to tell you what necessarily happens, but I think that they did some interesting things. They took it a certain direction that I enjoyed. We talked a lot about the cinematics of the game and how the screen would shift and different elements. It just turned almost into a different game as the storyline and the narrative changed. And I did enjoy that. I would say that I found the ending a little bit predictable, and I wanted just a bigger twist at the end, but the rest of it I thought was pretty good. Length of the game was, I think, appropriate. I'm part of the group that thinks that games are too long these days. They fill up the middle of a game with a lot of fluff, and I didn't feel that way necessarily with A Way Out. I thought that the timing of it was about perfect. They could have done a little bit more, I think, with the narrative and the twist at the end of the game, but it was enjoyable. I think that it's worth at least most of the hype that it's getting right now.
I completely
definitely
agree.
got to reward a gaming company for taking some risks. So anytime I see that, I'm happy. And then the option in weekend gaming is Yuna, Lawn Boy, who's in the chat, and myself on one of our PAX nights picked up a card game at PAX called Death
Oh
Wish.
yeah, I forgot.
And we played that. And the goal of this game, it's a card game if you can find it on Amazon. This one I believe is out. They did this company had a couple that were pre-released. They hadn't released them yet. But the goal of the game is actually to acquire as many diseases as possible to eventually kill yourself. And if you die, you win. And you get to make up these diseases as you draw cards. And there's different symptom cards, there's transmission cards, and then there's the actual name of the disease.
Sounds like my trip to PAX.
It is. In fact, you were the inspiration for the game, Mark. At least for some of the diseases. Complainitis, take a nap, allodosis.
Complainitis.
Yeah.
I think I've had that since birth.
Can't arcade.
No loud
inflammatory
sounds.
disorder, things like that, and then just your general IBD that you struggle with. But we played this game, and it was neat. It was neat for me as a healthcare professional to kind of put together, like, as you have these modes of transmission in the game. I thought that was like a clever little twist, because most people don't think, I mean, they know that diseases are spread by vectors and things like that, but to see it put in a game in this humorous way, I thought was good. So good party game. I would recommend it. You can play, I think, with like 4 or 6 people. I don't know that there would really be a limit, except you might run out of cards. About 30 minutes to play through, and lots of laughter. So it was a good time.
So
you also got the NSFW booster
the
pack
not
too.
safe for work one. There's
Yeah.
definitely.
So,
if you're with adults, play with that pack. It makes it even more enjoyable.
Oh my god.
So
If you're with
let me ask you-
evangelical Christians, you might want to put it away.
We just
that
spent
pack.
time
Put it away.
reading the cards just for fun.
Yeah.
Like, give me a rating though. Like on all those games, I always think to myself, so Cards Against Humanity is the baseline, right? You can learn that if you're pretty smashed, right? Like there's no limit to how drunk you can be and still learn the rules of humanity. Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, and Cards Humanity being 10, the easiest. What is this on the learn while drunk scale?
Yeah, harder significantly, and that's from experience. We were pretty toasted when we started.
Yeah, I was pretty blitzed.
And it took some work. I think Long Boy fell asleep a couple times. But we did get through it. It is not that complicated, but if you are not of sound mind at the time, I would say it's a solid probably 5. It's probably twice as hard to learn than Cards Against Humanity. If you're drunk. If you're not drunk, it's not hard to learn at all. You'll learn it in 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
When you're playing a party game, it's common that it is a party at the time. So that's why I always ask that. You know, I think like Exploding Kittens, we've played that one, right? I think that one would probably be, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the easiest. That scale's backwards. It should be 1. I'm sorry, I messed up this.
You're not good with scales.
I messed up the scale. Cards Against Humanity being 1, the easiest to learn. I'd say Exploding Kittens is maybe a 3. Wouldn't you think that? There's a little bit of complication to it, but it's so this is like
I stand by my number. It's a 5.
5.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I go solid 5 too, because it took a couple of hands for us to like really get through it and be like, and by the end of it, I was ready to go another round, except it was 3:30, so we had to go to bed because we all got up at 7:30 in the morning.
Wow, and I had been asleep since 10.
We were back up at 7:30 that same day, still drunk from the night before as we went into.
Yeah, I was feeling pretty good till like we went out for brunch.
Crazy, but, I would say that we weren't 100%, but we were 80%. We were good.
Nice.
All right. Well, that's kind of my week in gaming. Mark, did you have any other week in gaming things you want to talk about?
No.
I think our little CRT TV in the office. Was that from your week in gaming?
I did. I've loaded up Golden Axe collection on the Xbox, and that was one of my favorite games when I was younger. Explains my violent tendencies. I loved violent games even back then. It was the greatest. And there's like combos in it, you know, and you could play co-op, right? Like you'd get a buddy. And you could accidentally hit each other. You know, there was friendly fire there, so it was great. I got thrown in so many holes, like because I was a lot younger than my brother and his friends. So it was great though. We played that game a lot, and the clip that you're watching there, if you're watching live, is from Golden Axe 2. So it comes with Golden Axe 1
together, and we're gonna do some streaming of some of these old arcade games. Partly I think we're in a little bit of a nostalgic mood from Ready Player One being launched. I'm actually going back and rereading the book for a second time, and definitely wants me to get in there and start playing some of those classic games.
Yep, and I hadn't read the book, so Phil and I went to go see the movie, and when I came back from PAX, he had bought me the book. So I'm going to read that, because I don't like to do audiobooks.
Nice. Oh, I love audiobooks.
All right, should we move on to our first segment of the evening?
We should.
What weird news do we have from the world of gaming this week, Yuna?
Weird news. Where's the audio clip?
Well, we're gonna change the name of it, so we bend that. We bend that clip. Don't mention
it's been benched. Okay, well I'm gonna do it then. Weird world in gaming. Okay, now I feel like I can proceed.
Tradition.
Let me pull up my things. Okay, so a couple of things that came up that was a little bit weird, a little bit funny. So probably I think the funniest one for the weird world in gaming is there's a new kind of ransomware that forces you to play PUBG to unlock your files.
It's the best. I love it.
Yeah. So this is in this particular article that I pulled up, and it's all over the place, but I pulled it up from PC Gamer. It just really is just a virus that you can get on your device, and in order to unlock your files, it makes you download and play PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds for fun, and that's it.
And the thing that I love about this is that there's been reports of, as you know, companies, hospital systems, even the FBI being hit with ransomware. Just imagine these same entities getting hit with the PUBG ransomware, being like, so what do we have to do to unlock this? I got to play PUBG. Or say that you're at your office, right? And you're,
Yeah.
getting work done, and you're like, you know what? I could get in just a couple rounds before my boss notices. And then your boss busts your ass and is like,
Yeah.
what are you doing playing video games on work hours? You're like, I downloaded the ransomware. I'm trying to get it unlocked. I just got to get chicken dinner. I got to get first place, and then it'll let me get back to work.
So you have to get first, like your KD has to be good, or you have to get first place too?
Actually, no, not at all. So what happens is the screen that comes up with, it just says PUBG ransomware. Your files, images, music, documents were encrypted, and it says your files is encrypted by PUBG ransomware. But don't worry, it's not hard to unlock it. I don't want money. Just play PUBG for 1 hour. Or the restore code is this. And it actually gives you the restore code to put in. Now, does it look hella shady? Haha. Yeah.
Don't go looking for this, please.
Don't.
G&H is not recommending you go download this.
No,
it's just as dangerous as following a link that Lawn Boy sends in chat.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Another fun fact: do not follow Lawn Boy's links in chat.
Got him. That's a few private jokes.
Well, he just has viruses.
Yeah.
It wasn't really
That's
his.
a good one.
So,
I do like that one, Yuna.
Yes. Yeah, so that was a good one. The next one is actually just the announcement of a new grenade for Fortnite, and that is the Portafort.
Yeah.
So I hear the words Portafort, and all I can think of is porta potty. So what happens is, it's an actual item that you can get that you just throw down, and it auto builds a fort for you.
Yeah.
And that sounds great. In my head, all I can see is you take it and you throw it down, and you're just in a porta potty. And you're like, yeah.
You kind of imagine that. It'd be neat if they put a little moon door on the outside.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of nice.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good thing. And I'm a Fortnite player that is at the point of my progression where I'm starting to get better at the building aspect. I'm winning encounters, especially when others do not build as effectively as I do. But I can recognize that some people do not want to get past that learning curve. And it is such an advantage that if these are common in the game, and I hope they are, this will be the balancing. This will level out the people who don't want to build with the people who do build, and it'll help them get some of the same advantages. In particular, when you down another player and they drop all of their loot, you got a couple things you could do. You could sit back and wait and see if anybody comes up to take that loot, and they're running a risk because they know that they're probably going to have somebody aim down sights at them. Or you can go try to pick up that loot, but somebody could very well have aimed down sights on you, and you're going to die. So typically you wait kind of a few seconds, you then eventually go in there and you build around yourself to at least buy yourself some time, equip a shotgun. If somebody starts taking down a wall that you built, you're ready to get that first shot with a shotgun. That takes some time, and you got to know how to use your controller, especially. I play on PlayStation typically. Use that controller to build those walls quickly while people are trying to shoot at you. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Drop down one of those portaforts, and you're right in your honey bucket, ready to pick up all that loot, and you're good to go. People are shooting, but you got your fort built around you. I think that, Mark, you're a guy that doesn't really like the building aspect. I think this is something, when I read it, I was like, yeah, this is going to help Mark get into the game more.
Yeah, I think it will. It's not that I won't eventually learn to build. It's just, this is what needs to happen, right? I'm going to go ahead and get the full version of the game it's like the horde mode and that kind of stuff. Justin was telling me he downloaded it too from Dad Tales. So if you guys get it too, we'll all try it out. But I just need to fire the weapons a little bit more and get a little bit more comfortable with the building and all that kind of stuff without real bad guys. Real other people.
Without that added pressure of the real life consequences with actual people on the other side.
AI doesn't operate at the same skill level that a real PvP component does.
Yeah, by the time I fire my gun in Fortnite, usually the game is nearly over because I get into a firefight and then I lose. And then, which is fine. You get in and out of games quick enough. I kept expecting them to come out with a no building mode. But they haven't yet. But I could see that being a thing in the future. but I don't know. I mean, like, it's kind of up to them as game makers. If they did that, it would almost feel like, what's the difference between Fortnite and PUBG then a little
I
bit.
think that's too big of a risk. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that, that is a differentiator, and maybe even from a trademark legality standpoint, they need to have that differentiator that our game is different enough. There were early reports that PUBG wasn't very happy because Epic Games had done some work with them, and they felt that some of their ideas were stolen.
Right.
So I think that they need to keep some of those differences. And the other thing is, it's a differentiator in the game. I think that a lot of people play Fortnite for that aspect, and there's a lot of people who don't play it because they feel like they're not good at it and it affects their ability to perform in the game mode. But I think that with this Portafort, if anything, I think they're going to try to make it just easier on players to use some of those same strategies.
Yeah. I'm for it. I'm all for it. Now, I've been seeing clips too of guided rockets and then teammates riding on them, or are they riding? Is the person guiding it riding it, or is it the teammates? Okay,
I think it's the person guiding it riding it.
It's crazy looking.
Riding it.
And now they've been able to stack them. Somebody has actually made it completely across the map by stacking the rockets.
Yeah, I saw that.
Is that how you get out to those islands on the outskirts that no one can get to, maybe?
I haven't heard of anybody getting out there yet, so I'm not sure.
Decorative islands. Dang it.
That'll be the next one.
Just in the skybox. Well, I guess I really need to just download Fortnite because you guys are gonna play it. My friend,
it's free.
My friend Jay from work decided that he's not gonna play Destiny anymore, and he's playing that. So
a lot of people have decided that.
No, I think it's free to play, which is amazing. I think that Epic made a fantastic move by making it free to play. And just so that you can comment on the experience, since so many people are playing it. We were at just our Easter dinner with family. We had like 30 people at my wife's aunt's house, and we were enjoying it. And they know that we're gamers and that we do things like this. And they asked us, hey, I've been hearing about this game Fortnite. Do you guys play that? Do you know anything about it? And I could actually just bring it up on my phone and show them. I could show them what the Fortnite experience is like from my phone. Which was like, what game can you do that? And what game do I have, my wife's aunt, who's, retiring age, she's in her 60s, asking about this video game that she hears about in the news. Yeah,
that is wild. It's so crazy that it came out on mobile. I mean, I never saw that coming. I mean, like, even, let's take, it's the full game. Like, even Minecraft is like dumbed down when it comes out on mobile, and it's like the blockiest of blocky games, and they've had tons of time to develop that, and somehow Fortnite just like comes out. Now, I will say this: I read about Fortnite, I'm talking years ago, in a gaming magazine, and was super excited about it because it was, the way they described it was, it's a horde mode where you and your friends basically tower defense, but it's first person shooter and you're building your tower. And monsters are trying to, and that's how they were marketing it back then, right? Which is still there, I mean, like
except they changed to third person, but that's that's all right.
Well, third person is what I meant to say. Okay. So like a shooter, I just meant kind of like a shooter. So like, I think that whatever the PUBG format is, what is that called? That type of game. Royale. A battle royale, that kind of took over, and that's the free part of it. But I am eager to try. It's like $40, I want to say, to download the horde mode. And I'm gonna try it out. It's worth it. Like I've played the single, or the battle royale enough to know that I definitely am in for that experience. If nothing else, to get better at shooting the guns and building before like real people are blitzing me all the time. So.
Right.
True.
All right, Yuna, what else do you got there from the news desk?
Okay, we got a couple more. The next one's actually a short one, but it's it was a fun one. So what happened was small little Destiny blurb. On Twitter, the governor of, where is that? What governor? Washington, the governor of Washington State, actually visited, his name is Jay Inslee. He actually visited Bungie, and he tweeted out a bunch of pictures and sitting next to Fallen Captain. And the tweet says, "I'm not sure whether Governor outranks a fallen captain, but I want to thank at Bungie for having me in today. They're one of our state's leaders in the gaming industry. So that made like a little bit of a splash, just because it was funny to see, someone politically minded and, appreciating the game, and everyone was, wondering if he actually plays or if he was just, visiting local businesses, just, getting to know people. So that was a little fun. That was just a tiny little blurb.
I heard he was there to ask about the broken Nightfall.
Yeah. I'm actually from Washington State originally, and they have something very unique in that any citizen can actually put a bill to the state house, direct democracy, as long as they get enough signatures on it. So normally, right, you'd have to have like a senator or a legislator write the bill. The public actually can write a bill, and there's been a number of laws passed that were actually written by citizens and then had to go up for vote because it got enough signatures. So what I'm thinking this was actually about is the citizens are getting ready to put together a petition to get random rolls back on weapons. That's what it's got to be.
Well, they don't have to anymore. They're coming in September.
It was the threat of the governor telling them, look, they're not happy about this whole static weapon roll thing. They're gonna shove this down your throat if you don't change it, and I'm here to save us a lot of time and money. See that all the press about going back to random rolls and getting the weapon slots back, though, going back to some of these things in Destiny 1 right after the governor had a nice little talk with those guys at Bungie.
Yeah.
Go figure. Yeah. Coincidence?
And then they released.
I think not.
Maybe.
What now?
Okay, I have one last one. So it has been 2 weeks since our last one, and in that since our last episode, and in that 2 weeks, April Fool's Day and Easter did come and go. So one of my favorite things about April Fool's Day is ThinkGeek. So ThinkGeek is an online retailer for like nerdy geeky things. They're one of my favorite things. They have a brick and mortar stores now, and they actually have one in my mall. So I bought this mug there today because it's cute.
Cute.
I couldn't find
for
a nice Star Wars one
she
that I
has
wanted.
a pony mug, a unicorn mug.
It's a Tokidoki mug, so it's glass and it's good. Yeah, it's cute.
Okie-dokie.
It's cute, Tokidoki, and it's full of alcohol. So.
Yeah. And what
was intended?
What did ThinkGeek
I don't know if can I say that on air, but but the article actually is all about highlighting all of the really crazy April Fool's products that ThinkGeek comes up with every year that people can't buy, but there's such a clamor for them that they actually end up producing them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Usually like one,
because
right? Whatever the most popular one is, typically they might do a limited
It's usually
run.
one, and I'm pretty sure it started with the Star Wars Tauntaun sleeping bag, because there was mass fury when people couldn't actually buy this thing. It's literally a Tauntaun sleeping bag. It has a little Tauntaun head for like a little pillow, and you open it up, it's patterned with the entrails of a Tauntaun.
Right.
From episode 5, where Han Solo has to cut open the Tauntaun and shove Luke inside, but it smells amazing.
Best
but yeah.
Star Wars movie ever made.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes
I'd probably agree. All right.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite fake ThinkGeek April Fool's product, Yuna?
In years past, it was definitely the Tauntaun. Yeah. Second one. So that's the one I really wanted to buy. But there's another one that's near and dear to my heart. I feel like I'm not supposed to talk about it because I can't tell you guys where I work. But let's just say there was a replica of where I work and exactly what my job is, in like little Lego form. Okay. And obviously it wasn't real, and I really, really wanted it. Yeah. So I can't say the company name because I'm not supposed to identify myself online.
They made a porn industry.
No, not even that. No, not even close.
Yeah, those little Lego men and women could move in very interesting ways.
Wow.
That's not a baton.
Yeah, it comes with epic karate chop thrust action. No, actually not.
No.
Not even
It's okay because your ambiguity was rewarded by Mark's statement.
Yeah, you left the door wide open for that. Okay,
I couldn't help it. Like I can't specify where I work on social media.
I don't know if this was an April Fool's gag or not, but have you guys ever went to O'Reilly Auto Parts website?
Yeah.
No, I can't say that I have.
And you search for, just put in the search bar 121G.
I have not done this.
It brings up an auto part that is the funniest thing ever. If you're a Back to the Future fan, it brings up the flux capacitor. Like
Really?
it's literally, yeah, it's like a whole Back to the Future joke on the O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Wow. Props to
website.
O'Reilly. I like it.
Yeah, I know. It's like not for sale. And then it even says working speed 88 miles per hour, maximum power. What do you think it says? 1.21 gigawatts. That's what it says.
Gigawatts.
Time travel at
Fantastic.
your own risk, it says.
Yeah.
So good.
All right. Well, I think we should move right into our indie spotlight for the week. We had a very fun experience at PAX where we got to sit down and interview the co-founder and director of a game that's coming out called Omensight. The three of us, we were able to get a little bit of a behind the scenes experience. His name is Malik. And, we, the two of us or three of us interviewed him. We got to experience the demo and learn a little bit about this game. So a little bit from our interview that we had, this is an indie game. It's going to be coming out sometime this year. It took about 18 months to develop. It is the fourth game that this development studio has made, and it's Spearhead Games. They have 15 full-time employees, right? So it is a small group, but a lot of industry knowledge. A lot of them have worked for really large developers, and they wanted to do something that was different, innovative, and just the nature of large development studios. It's just too much risk to try to do something that is different than the status quo, especially when you're talking about AAA titles and gamers that have specific expectations associated with those titles. So they're coming out with this game, Omensight. Mark and I got to watch Yuna play it. Yuna, maybe tell us a little bit about what the gaming mechanics and environment and just what the experience is like.
That's actually, I've practiced all day. So I spent the last 2 days telling everyone I could tell at work about this game. Because people, they knew I was going to PAX even though I was away. I was off work and, they're like, "Ooh, what was your favorite thing?" And I'm like, Omensight. And they're like, "What's Omensight?" So the way that the game plays, it's really interesting. So first off, I gotta say, it's absolutely gorgeous. Like it ticks all of those like visual boxes for me with the bright colors, really just beautiful use of light and contrast there. And the art style is really cool because it's really, it's cartoony without being childish. I think that would be the best way to say that. But as far as the gameplay goes, it was actually really fun because it was a big like amalgamation. I'm not going to say the word right. It's a big mix of different kind of genres. So there was platforming elements to it, which I'm not the best at platforming, but it wasn't hard and it wasn't too hard for me to actually do. It was a fighter, which it had actually the fighting section of that was actually very satisfying. So you have different types of combos you can do melee wise, and you have like a little buddy that goes around with you that kind of grants you extra powers. Now I did do a little bit more research after playing it because I wanted to learn more about the game, and so I read a couple of more articles on that, and apparently what happens is your kind of special moves change depending on who is accompanying you, which I didn't pick that up from that time because you just get that one person Radita with you. But yeah, no, like it had that hack and slash almost kind of like feel to it, but everything was very smooth. It reminded me of like it reminded me a little bit of like Kingdom Hearts a little bit as far as like having combos and things like that. You can jump and slam down and everything like that, just like an Arc Strider when you're in your super, and that was cool. That actually wasn't listed on my little controls. I was just playing around and figured out I could do that.
Right.
But as far as and that's just the very basics. Now the big thing is going through, and the way that it goes as far as gathering information. The whole premise of the game is that you're a being that comes into the world, and you come into the world whenever there's a risk for the world to be ending. And what happens in the game is that the end comes, and it comes every day. But you have the ability to go back in time and relive your day, almost kind of like Groundhog Day, but better.
Yeah, it was like it was like Groundhog Day meets, you are like this hero in the game, so you are powerful as opposed to Bill Murray's character,
right,
in Groundhog Day. And ultimately what you're trying to do is, determine a certain sequence of events and play out a certain narrative to prevent events from unfolding, which are going to cause the end of the world by the end of the day. They describe it as an action murder mystery game.
Yep.
It starts with the end, right? You're starting with this proposed end of the apocalypse, and then you have to start at the start of a day and get as far as you can to learn about the characters, about the environment, about what's causing these events to unfold, to eventually be able to intervene and prevent it from happening.
Yeah. There was a specific person that was murdered as well that usually prevents these kind of things from happening. And you're trying to figure out what's happened to her. It looked very satisfying. The combat, actually, like where it's a third person, and it looked like you were able to press a direction and hit attack, and it would kind of just go in that, kind of like the first game that made me think of it made me think of a game, Prince of Persia, the reboot. It made me think of that game, because that's the way that game was. It was the first one I played that really felt good. You could be in the middle of a group of enemies and counter and stuff, and then strike in different directions. And the guy that made the game actually worked on that, he told us. So
right. So we sat down with I had to grab his card because I didn't want to mispronounce his last name. Malik Bukhaira is the co-founder of Spearhead Games. And so that's what we sat down with. And his background is working with, big AAA developers on those games. And I think it does play into it. But I think the thing that got me really excited when we were sitting down talking about it, I want to know, especially as an indie developer, what are you doing that's different? What are you doing that's innovative, that's, going to change how people play video games or think about video games in the product that you're creating? And what he's trying to do, what their studio is doing, is blending the action elements of a game, like an action game that it is, with a really strong narrative focus. So there's consequences to your actions. As you do things in this game, does change or play out different branching elements of the narrative. You might think, well, how long does it take to play through one day? Not that terribly long. To beat the game, to figure out what you're supposed to do, how to branch different narratives, and to play through that rich story. 12 hours is what they said.
Yeah.
So definitely a worthwhile experience to see from a time perspective of what you're getting out of this game.
Yep. Yeah, and like just for example, for like the small snippet that I did play, that was the demo. When you get to what's considered the main boss of the demo, you have two different options. So you can either just straight up attack him. So Radada, the person you're with, doesn't like this guy. So you can either, choose her side and just not listen to him at all, not give him any benefit of the doubt, and just attack him straight out. And that gives you one ending. And one piece of information that you can use. Or you can use what's called your Omensight, and you can show him a piece of information that you had already learned, and that completely changes the situation. The guy backs off, Radada gets mad, and you have to abscond with the guy that you would have attacked in the other situation, because then she's hiding something. So now you need to go, so the next day you would go back and do that. And as it turns out, that other guy, wasn't such a bad guy. So
right.
It's the whole idea of being able to have, choices, and, the information that you learn changes the interactions that you may have already had, and you can go back and replay, is really interesting. another thing too is that, you know, when you start the new day, you can choose where you start. You're not going to start in the same spot every day. So that will definitely cut down on repetition too. So you're not going to be looking at something that's too repetitive. And they said that that was something that they really wanted to avoid, considering that, you know, you will be playing the same day over and over again, but you're going to be doing different things in different places with different people. So that way you don't kind of get stuck in the whole, oh, I've already done this or anything like that.
Yeah, don't get the impression it's the same level, because it's not.
No,
There's different places. You start the day at different locations. You get to choose what location you're starting out at. So, you know, there's a lot of depth to the experience. It's not playing through the same level over and over and over again, like, you know, another game that we actually did love and play thousands of hours of.
Yeah.
Mark, do you have any comments about the art style in the game?
Yeah, it was very interesting. It was satisfying to look at, cell shaded. I think artistically, my favorite game ever is The Wind Waker. Zelda's The Wind Waker. I really like cell shaded when it's done correctly, and it doesn't apologize for being cell shaded and what it is. This game is a little slicker than that, a lot more dark spaces with like bright punctuations of color. But I do like it. You know, it's not my favorite, of course. Wind Waker still holds that title. But man, it is visually impressive to look at for sure.
Even just kind of walking around PAX, right? You're seeing a lot of different indie games. You're seeing a lot of different art styles. This one definitely had buzz around it. People were watching the promo videos. They were looking at the different displays, and they were just saying, this is a very beautiful looking game. This feels like a little bit, you know, the art style that's in the current Zelda game kind of feels this way a little bit. This one almost seemed like the way that they did some of the way that combat happened and the way that the graphics and animations played into the combat, I thought looked really cool. Really good use of light and color. And the audio score actually sounds really good as well. Some of the big takeaways from the interview too for me that just show that there's a lot of heart and passion that's going into this game. And again, we just saw the demo. We were able to sit down and talk with the developers. We'll have a full review that comes out once this game is released. We're going to all play through it and give honest feedback, honest thoughts on what the experience is like. But one of the things that Malik told us was, you know, it takes 18 months to make 30 seconds worth of gameplay, but it's going to be the best 30 seconds of your life. So they're focused on designing an experience in there that is worthwhile. They're not just saying, what can we do, but what should we do? What kind of experience should we craft? I did really enjoy that. They're making this be a narrative puzzle as a murder mystery game that's still challenging. It's going to be not an easy thing to figure out and deduce what you're supposed to, or what is going on, until you have put in the time and effort to determine, and the thought to determine what is going on in this environment.
Yeah, he had another. You asked him what that game has, what Omensight has, that's new to the gaming world, and he said it seamlessly lets you go through the gameplay and story in one breath, from adventure to dialogue, which I thought was kind of a cool thing. Like, you know, you used to, and you know, even like think Skyrim. You know, you walk up to a guy and you've got your choice wheel or whatever, you know, what do you want to choose to say to this guy? What,
sure.
You know, a lot of RPGs, what posture are you going to take? Are you going to be aggressive? Are you going to, you know, what are you going to, you know, it gives you those kind of choices. But in this one, it literally, you're in almost like a cutscene, and you instantly decide whether you're going to try to take their side or attack them. And it actually has the way that the story plays out is a little bit more involved than I've seen in other RPGs for sure. And this is not exactly an RPG even. They're calling it an adventure murder mystery too. So
And then kind of they did say, I asked if there was a moral to the story. Is there something that, like an underlining subtext that you're left with to think about once you've completed the game? And he wanted to be pretty close to the chest in terms of what that was. And I actually didn't want him to tell me. I just wanted to know if one existed. And he says, yes, there's a longitudinal theme that does carry through the end that is meant to leave you thinking about some particular narrative, some theme from that game. So I'm excited to find that out as well.
I'm very excited to play this game. And I'm not usually into indie games, but I walked by it on the floor and I'm like, what is that? Like, that doesn't even, that looks just gorgeous, and I can't wait to play it.
Yeah. I used to play a lot of...
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say I used to play a whole lot of arcade games on the Xbox. I always got really excited for the Geometry Wars, all those, dual stick shooters, because it was different, right? It was a breath of fresh air. But I've definitely lost sight of that, and I didn't really realize that. I've been playing iOS games because it has the same feel, right? They're innovating on a new platform. They're making games that have a different interface. You can actually buy a controller for your iPad now, but it's more, they can take more risks, right? And that's
Right.
the one thing that was the takeaway after I thought about all of the indie games that we saw on display, even the ones that looked more 8-bit. The gameplay itself was something that you're not getting somewhere else. So I'm with Yuna there. I'm excited to try this and like a lot of other indie games too. I think Gray, you were saying there's a lot of really good co-op ones on Steam to check out as well. So
Yeah, and we're going to be
I'm all in.
spotlighting, indie games on a fairly frequent basis, maybe weekly. Ideally, we want to find ones that we're excited about that are either in pre-release or that they're released that we certainly want to recommend to our viewers. This is one that just based on the pre-release footage, I think we're excited about. We hope that once we get our hands on it, it lives up to the hype and the buzz that we did see at PAX East. And really, if what I would love to see, even just through watching that demo get played through, hear about what they want to do as a company. This is a situation where the more successful this game is, the more things that they're able to do in the future as a company. But ideally, I feel like this game has a perfect fit on the Nintendo Switch. In fact, I told Malik that I would love to be flying home from PAX on the airplane playing this game on my Switch. And just the nature of developing for PC and for PS4 is different than developing for the Switch. A port might be in the cards, but only if it's successful. And so if it's a good game, we certainly would encourage support for it because we'd like to see it successful and out on different platforms. So yeah, this will be part 1, I think, of this Indie Spotlight. We will do a follow-up once we get the full game in our hands, hopefully within the next few months. All right, That's all I have for my Indie Spotlight. What do you have for
PAX?
What about PAX?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
PAX was
PAX.
was a crazy experience, fantastic experience. It was very busy. Weather in Boston wasn't that great, but inside it was hot. It was hot inside. Great blend, right? If you've never had a chance to go to PAX, whether it's PAX West, PAX East, PAX South, maybe we'll eventually get the 3 of us to PAX Australia. It's such a good blend of hardware, and I'm a hardware guy. Like I love looking at the new things that are coming out, from gaming PCs to water coolers to keyboards, mouse, controllers.
Really cool.
I mean, just some really neat things, and we'd certainly like to showcase some of those elements on the show. I definitely am big into those kinds of hardware elements. To the big AAA developers, getting to see the products that they're going to be launching. We're probably going to play most of their games anyways. We didn't hang around and wait in line too long to see what they've got going on, just because we know eventually it's going to be in our fingertips at home. Really, what I found most interesting was walking around and talking with both the indie game developers, who some of them, they're not even sure their game's going to be released yet. They're still trying to get Kickstarter funding so that they can keep developing it and get a final product. And then others that have completed their product and are just kind of getting the bugs out and trying to build up some buzz before they release their game. That was really neat. And then seeing the board game and card game side of PAX, which is huge. I mean, probably a third is board games and card games. And seeing some of the new games that are coming out, or games that they just made for PAX, and if they sold enough of them, then they can keep making them, kind of thing. So you get to see things that you don't get to see anywhere else. You might get to experience something that you won't get to experience again because some of these things might not ever come out. And really, at the heart of it, you get to meet some fantastic people. And a lot of what Yuna and I did, and Mark, I'm sure you would have joined us, but you weren't feeling well, was just talking with the developers and hearing about what they're passionate about, what they want to make, what they need to make their vision, their dream, what's holding them back, you know, and eventually what they hope to do that's going to mean success in their eyes. And from our perspective, give us something that's new in the world of gaming.
Yeah. it was a really great time. Like, we were joined a lot of the days that we were there by Lawn Boy, who's one of the producers on the show. And let me just tell you that, like, Nate is really good at talking to people. I'm really good at listening, but I'm not so great at the introduction part, so I usually don't get to talk to the developers, and he's really good at breaking the ice. So he was like the master introducer. So every conversation we had is Nate's fault.
Well, it's terribly exciting for me. I find it very cool to, there's guys that are developing for the NES. They had to learn how to write in archaic code so that, because they thought it was cool to build games for the NES. And it's like, man, that's crazy that people are out there doing that kind of stuff. Like, I find it very interesting. And in general, right? Like we've all gravitated towards this particular culture, which historically has not always been the most popular. No. As we've gotten older, actually, the whole idea of nerd and geek culture is mainstream. It's attractive. People are playing video games. People are talking about video games. These people are passionate about what they do, and they probably weren't always treated the best throughout the course of their history. And now, it's their time to shine. And I love to hear about what they're doing that gets them excited. And we definitely got to see some really cool things during our time there. After PAX isn't over when the convention hall closes, certainly. Nope. There's lots of get-togethers, lots of fun things. And probably just one of the best parts about PAX was it was the first time the three of us got to be together in person.
In real life, yes.
In real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we're in a living room together now. That's actually not the case. I want to go ahead and say really quick, I apologize to Chris and his missus, and Average Joe and his missus for not making it out to meet you guys. You would have met me and my mucus if I had come out. I was in pretty bad shape. I slept out of a 24-hour day on average for PAX. I slept about 15 to 16 of those hours. So it was pretty, I felt pretty rough. You might have taken home.
It was eating, drinking, and sex. Those are only the three things you did during the waking hours of the day.
Wow.
Is that what I was doing?
He doesn't even remember.
No, my nostril is really sore, but I don't know.
Man, he got some penetration with that breadstick, I guess.
Yeah. Some alien stuff going on in my room, I guess.
And I should mention, we love the support of Average Joe, Chris, the Saint 14 group. We got to meet with them, go out with them, have a nice time at one of the arcades in town and have dinner. Jillian's in Boston, yes. Which was very fun. They treated us very well there, and we got to meet with the Saint 14 group, which were fantastic. It was great to put some faces to some names and strengthen those bonds, those relationships. We'll continue to support that group and the different foundations that they work with, and we'll help them in any way that we can, whether it's through live streams or shout outs or whatever, because they're doing good work to help people who struggle with mental health. Personally, so
absolutely,
and they're doing so much fun hanging out with everyone on Saturday night, and making new friends and meeting Mel and Sarah too. So very, very happy to have gone out with everyone, and maybe keep it going at Guardian Con.
We got Guardian Con. We got
shut up.
E3 maybe. We got PAX East or PAX West.
There's
Broken
Dreams Con.
Lots of get-togethers that are going to be coming up. Mark, you were going to mention something Saint 14's working on.
Right, yeah. They if you check out their recent episodes, they've played through the game Hellblade, which is a really good fit for them, which focuses on mental health awareness. Actually, the whole game, So check out their recent podcasts, episodes of Saint 14 Project podcast, because it's really, really interesting what they're doing. They do a weekly as well, psychological profile on a gaming character. They've done. Requested Samus. You know, all of the lonely times and the concealing of. I guess she was concealing that she was a girl. I don't know. Maybe she wasn't. Maybe we just didn't know.
You're just
we were assuming. Yeah, we were assuming. Yeah, but really fascinating podcast. So definitely give it a listen.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that the last thing that I want to mention about PAX before we go into last credits is Manny, Lawn Boy.
Yes.
One of our producers of the show came from New York to Boston to hang out with us for PAX East. It was so good to meet Lawn Boy, a guy that I've been playing video games with for years now. Never had a chance to meet in person, and just one of the nicest guys. Supports our show as a producer. He helps us source content, and you know, he's a big fan of ours. We're a big fan of him. And it was just good, and it was awesome, Manny. I just want to give you a good hello, and it was wonderful to spend that weekend with you.
Yep.
Absolutely. Great to meet you in real life. LB, Manny, LB. AKA Lawn Boy.
All right. Let's start last credits with Yuna. Yuna, what do you got for us?
Okay, be prepared because it's going to be lengthy.
Okay.
So a couple of things. So I did get my Shield of Hope. It is around my sewing room somewhere. It's beautiful, and I really appreciate everything that they do for people inside the gaming community.
Who's that?
Yep, that's what it is.
Everything that who does?
Take this.
Take this.
TakeThis.org.
Yep.
And so that was my first shout out. My second shout out goes to you guys. So you know, when you meet people from the internet, yeah, you too. When you meet people from the internet that you've talked to a lot, sometimes it can get a little bit awkward. But I feel like after like the first 2 minutes, it was just that I was hanging out with friends that I just hadn't seen in a long time. So it was just really awesome getting to hang out with you guys in real life, and I'm very thankful to have you guys as friends. The same goes for Lawn Boy. There's so many times where we've played Monster Hunter together and Destiny together, and you hear that laugh, and it's just like the patented Lawn Boy laugh, and being able to hear that in real life was so fun.
Got him.
Yep, got him. So yeah, so I'm just really grateful that you guys actually, because I know it's a long way, really, came out and, spent time and came to Boston to see me and go to PAX. And then on, what was it, Saturday night? Yeah. Was that Friday or Saturday night? It was Saturday night that we went out to. Yes, it was Saturday night that we went out, and we got to see Average Joe and his wife Mel, and we got to see Chris and met his wife Sarah. That was absolutely fantastic. I wasn't expecting to meet people that I was expecting to meet Joe, and I know Joe is a great guy, but I didn't know that Chris was going to be there. So it was really great to meet everyone, and I felt like we had such a great time, and I'm usually really shy. So I know I didn't really come off that way this weekend, but that just showed how great everyone is and how everyone, made me feel comfortable around them and everything like that. So thank you guys for a fantastic weekend.
Awesome. All right. So your last quarter, Mark, what you got for us?
Last quarter. Oh God, the pressure. Yeah, my shout out is to you guys as well. I had a great time. Thanks for putting up with me. I was not at my best for sure. I was definitely grouchy. I actually had this thing where a solid stream of yellow water would just run out of my left nostril. It was insane. It was insane. So thanks for putting up with me in my hideous state. Not just that, I was in bad shape, and Gray was like, no, you need to take this, this, and this. And we went to
a veritable cocktail of drugs
and then he
take.
knew how drugged up I was and how messed up I was. So he'd text me in the morning. He'd be like, here is the cocktail of drugs you should take. And it was great. It was like crack cocaine, and then it was, gosh. It was Sudafed and other things like that. So yeah, shout out to you guys, fellow. And then shout out to Manny as well, and all of our other producers for Grenades and Horseshoes. Definitely always have our backs. And with the new direction the show is taking with indie spotlights and trying to broaden our horizons to take in a lot more games and variety, I'm sure we'll have even more fun things for them to do and help us with going forward. So,
fantastic. My last quarter, I'm going to shout out to Malik Bukhaira. He is the co-founder of Spearhead Games, who hooked us up with a private interview, a play test of their demo, and really let us pick his brain as far as what him and his team of developers, 15 in their studio, are making. And it's really cool what a small group, 15 people, can make a fantastic game. We're really excited to check it out. Thank you for the time and supporting us as well. We appreciate the relationship and hope that as you make good products that we can help share that on our platform. PAX, final words are it was fantastic. Those conferences and conventions are amazing, and it's a lot because of the people, just good people doing good work and wanting to share that. Thank you to all of our producers of the show, and certainly our viewers, whether you've been watching for 31 episodes now, or this is your first one. Certainly reach out to us if you have thoughts or feedback. It's at gnhfeedback@gmail.com. You can find all three of us on Twitter. And just like every week, Jelly, take us out.
We started too early.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you can't catch the live show, then you can find the replays on the Grenades and Horseshoes YouTube channel. If you'd like to stay connected to the community during the week, you can reach us at our show Twitter handle @GNHshow, or at our individual handles @MarkSquare_, @GreyGhost2E, and @Yuna. We're also open to any ideas you may have or seeing any clips that you would like to send in. Please send the feedback to gnhfeedback@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.